Hello and welcome to another IG Live interview. We are so excited to be able to bring these programs to you and we appreciate all of your support. Today we are going to be talking to Stephanie Wildman and Estefanía Razo. They're an author-illustrator pair and they have a new picture book that just came out this week and we are so excited to be able to tell you all about it. It's Story Power, and actually this one is co-authored with Stephanie Wildman's grandson. Of course, he's in school, so he can't be with us today, but we're excited to be supporting his work as well. And if you haven't entered this week's giveaway, be sure to do so because we are giving away a copy of their brand new book. Again, that's Story Power. And so we're excited to be able to bring you that. Not only do you have a chance to win the picture book, but also Estefanía, the illustrator, has very generously offered to give a portrait illustration in the style of the stories. If you have seen any of the books in this series, these are the ones with the twins and the older brother. There are several books in this series, including Ghost Rider and I think Breathe. And so if you've seen any of those, you know the artwork is amazing. And that's all from Estefanía. And she is giving away, along with the picture book and portrait illustration in the style of the books. So watch out for those. And after we're done with the interview, be sure to go ahead and enter that giveaway. It ends tonight at midnight. It's very easy to enter and you don't want to miss out because that's really incredible. U.S. addresses only. But be sure to do that. In the meantime, we have Stephanie and Estefanía that are going to be on here for the interview. And thank you all for your patience. We're just getting set up now so we can get to talk to them about their brand new book, Story Power, out this week. Hello.
Hello, so nice to see you.
Good to see you. And I see Estefanía, I know, is here, so we'll have her on here for you in just a minute.
All right.
Yeah, hold on. All right, Estefanía, if you want to go ahead and send that request to join. Perfect. All right, and thanks to all of you for joining us for another interview. We had a double header today, which is always exciting. Hello.
Hi, hello.
Thank you both for joining us. And I think, Estefanía, you said maybe this is your first IG Live, so thank you for doing this with us. And Stephanie, I know we've done one before, but it's been a while, so I appreciate you both being here for this.
Well, thank you for bringing us together. It's always such a treat when I get to see Estefanía because I just love her artwork so much and I love her so much and I've never even met her, so it's a treat.
I love it too. I feel the same.
Oh, this is so nice to talk to you both. Especially, I know a lot of us have seen what you guys have done, the books that you've done together. So this is really fun to get to talk to both of you. Maybe you could both introduce yourselves. Maybe Stephanie, you want to go first and tell us how you started working together.
Okay, so from my side, my book Treasure Hunt was accepted by Lowery Publishing, and what I love about this small publisher is they ask you, how do you imagine your book? And so I told them that I wanted an artist who could draw realistic looking children. I didn't want the cartoony kind of kids that you see a lot in modern picture books. And luckily for me, the wonderful publishers found Estefanía. I don't even know how they found you because, you live in Guadalajara. It's a long way away there in Arizona. Anyway, they did their homework. And Estefanía read the manuscript that, would eventually become Treasure Hunt and was interested. And she did some character studies. And she did 2 sets of character studies, if I'm remembering this right. Correct me if I'm wrong. One was the very realistic that I had asked for looking children, and they were gorgeous. And then the other was the characters that we have come to know as Flor, Luis, and Roberto, who they're kind of in between realistic and cartoony. They're not too cartoony. Anyway, how could you not fall in love with them? So it was just her brilliance bringing these characters to life.
Estefanía, can you introduce yourself and what was it like for you when you started working together?
Well, I'm Estefanía Razo, the illustrator of the series. Well, I was contacted by Lowery Publishing via Instagram. They sent me a message. I read it. They talked to me via Instagram and email. And yes, I received I think we met before I received the manuscript. We
Oh,
had like a
maybe
little
that's
meeting.
right.
And then we just to introduce ourselves and knowing each other. And then I received the manuscript, and I really love it. I work at different sets of characters, and yes, I love the one we end up with. I love the Luis and the twins, and since Treasure Hunt, we've been creating the world, and I don't know, I feel really close to them since then.
I love that. And so the new picture book is Story Power. As we said, it's the latest in the series about the twins, Flor and Roberto, and their big brother Luis. Stephanie, can you tell us about the series and what was your inspiration behind creating these books?
So I think I didn't say I'm Stephanie Wildman. Sorry, I was so excited to be here. But the roots of Story Power, which is the latest book, this one, really go back to that first book, to Treasure Hunt, because it was the pandemic, and you all remember what that was like. I mean, it was lockdown. My grandson Simon, who was 3 at the time, had 2 parents working from home on Zoom, and Big Brother on Zoom school. And Simon, needed someone to hang out with him, and so that was me, the grandma. And so we spent a lot of time doing treasure hunts, but also writing a story that we called Simon Saves the Rainbow. It was all about colors and food. He was 3. We were drawing rainbow gardens. We were making puppets out of toilet paper rolls, and we planned to do a puppet show. Well, if you've looked at Treasure Hunt, you see that some of that came out in Treasure Hunt, the puppets, which Estefanía always puts one in one of the books. It's a little Easter egg for future readers. And anyway, Simon went back to school. We shelved Simon Saves the Rainbow. Fast forward, Simon is now 7 years old, and this book was his idea, because I was writing a middle grade book, and I wanted to read it to him and ask him if he was bored, and he had some great advice. Grandma, you need more action. And then he said, but I have an idea for another Flor, Roberto, and Luis book. And I was like, okay, Simon, he's 7, what's your idea? And he was like, well, they're bored, like they are in Treasure Hunt. But when they're bored, instead of doing a treasure hunt, they should write a story.
Mm.
Well, it's a brilliant idea. I can say that because it wasn't mine. So that's how the book came about.
And so tell us about the book, Stephanie. What happens in this new book?
Well, in fact, they do tell a story. The story they tell is called Serena Saves the Rainbow, because we couldn't call it Simon Saves the Rainbow because he's the author now. And when you're writing a picture book, you're really writing and illustrating for multiple audiences, because you have the child who's the reader or being read to, and the grown-up doing the reading with them or to them, or listening to them read it. And then often there's a younger sibling. So what I love about the layers in this book is you have the story of the twins writing a story, but then you have a story within the story that might appeal to the younger siblings about the rainbow and all the colors and all of that. So, but my favorite part really is the back matter, because I'm all about helping kids develop the writing habit and learning to that writing is fun. And so there's this back matter that Estefanía illustrated with the heads of the characters. It's like they're talking to you. So it's interactive, so you can talk to a child about how to write a story and what happened in this story, and they can relate that.
And we should mention that on your website you have more resources available, like some worksheets and things that families could use or teachers could use in the classroom.
I love that. Thank you, because Lowery Publishing does have an educational consultant, Dr. Della Sera, who also put together an amazing resource about how to help families develop the writing habit.
And what does Simon think about this now that the book is out in the world? What does he
Well,
think?
his older brother published some poems, and I write these books, and I think he just thinks this is what people do, like, I don't think he thinks it's that unusual, but I did ask him, what was his favorite part about writing the book? And he said, of course, it was our working together at the dining room table and, circling words and figuring out what did or didn't work. But he also said meeting Estefanía.
Oh,
because we had the Zoom, with the publisher, with Estefanía, with Simon to talk about the book. And I don't how much you remember that, Estefanía, but he wasn't really too shy about saying what he wanted.
So he was really involved in all, I mean, I know you said he gave the idea, but so he was really involved in writing the book, meeting with the publisher and Estefanía. That's amazing. What was that like working with him?
Well, I would like to mention that Simon indeed was really involved, and he was, even though he was shy at first, he was really full of ideas, and I love that. I love seeing him working with his grandma. I love that. The scene was lovely. And he really inspires me to do a lot of things during the entire process, like the look of the new characters, because we already know Luis and the twins, but there are a couple of characters that are new, and he really lead like the look of them. And some scenes, like one at the end when they're at one scene at the table, he really inspires me to do that part.
Oh,
I love that spread too. That's so fun.
Well, Estefania, tell us about your work, because your artwork is so important to this series. When you're working on a series like this, like you said, we have the twins and the big brother that are in every book. How do you keep it? I know you have to be very consistent across all of the books, but at the same time, you want to be creative and innovative. How do you balance those?
Well, for me, keeping consistency is easier because I already know the characters. I feel really close to them. I mean, this is the fourth book for when we work with these characters, and I love them. But talking about innovation and the creative part, it can be a little bit more challenging. But somehow Stephanie and now Simon has given me like new inspiration with this new story, and I don't know, the history indeed gives me what I need to make it like more creative, and story power is, I don't know, I feel it like really close and similar to Treasure Hunt, as Stephanie said, but it is something completely new, and I really like it.
That's really fun. And we should also mention, I know the one related to Day of the Dead. Oh, sure. Yes.
I just wanted to show the spread that Estefanía referenced, that it's just so fun with all the colors at the table. But yes, you should, you're talking about Ghostwriter, Escritor, Fantasma, which was the book before this one, and we are in the Halloween Dia de los Muertos season. That book really came about because I thought Estefanía would have so much fun drawing costumes.
I did. I did.
I've been thinking about that one since we are in that season. But I was also thinking about this one. Estefanía, like you said, this is so much in some ways like Treasure Hunt, because this is about kids who are bored and trying to think. I love Luis. He is such a great older brother. He always has these ideas for things to do with the kids. And this is all about using your imagination and becoming a storyteller. Stephanie, why is that such an important thing to teach kids about encouraging them to be storytellers?
Oh my goodness, how much time do we have? No, I mean, in this world of screens, right, where kids are getting pre-packaged stories, I just really want to affirm that their stories matter, that kids are full of stories. We're all full of stories, but especially kids, because they haven't been socialized not to think about it. And Dr. De La Sera, the educational expert who I mentioned, said, when children write stories, they're not just practicing language, which of course is a benefit of writing and reading. They're building identity, empathy, and voice. So stories are so much a part of who we are and who we become that, we always talk about how important it is to read to kids, read with kids read, have them have the reading habit. But I really hope that we're going to also help kids develop the writing habit.
Yeah, and I should mention that for people who aren't familiar with the series, one of the things it does is really, I think, give parents a lot of ideas and encouragement for how to get their kids off screens, doing the treasure hunt, telling stories. And of course, in this case, they're also, you have not just the family ties between the twins and their brother, but also for their abuelito, because they're actually writing the story for him. Can you talk about how also kind of storytelling or how your stories kind of encourage those family ties?
Well, one of the writing exercises that I have either on my webpage or on the blog I wrote about this, I can't even remember, is this idea of like, say the family goes together to a family dinner or to an event or whatever. Everybody can write down what happened and what they saw, or it could be done orally. But the interesting, differences that will come out of who saw what and who remembered what, is a way of building connection. Oh, you thought about it that way. Oh, well, I saw this, so there's just so many wonderful ways to use this. And I have to give a shout out because you mentioned Abuelito. At the end of the book, I don't know if you can see that, but Abuelito has his arm around Big Brother Luis. And that was one of my critique partners who loves my work, but who is, just so valuable having a critique group, said, Luis plays the role of the parent in a lot of these books.
Yes.
And I would like him to show him getting some love. So it's not in the text language, but I thought, again, thank you, Estefanía, for drawing it that way so that people get the idea that we know he's a child too, a responsible child, but a child nonetheless.
And also, I love the fact that you're talking about how families can use stories to make these connections. Usually we think of children listening to their parents or their grandparents, which of course is important, but also you're saying, grandparents and parents should be listening to the children and their stories, that they also have something important to say. But Stephanie, I just realized I had skipped one of my questions, and I want to make sure we don't miss it, because I'm really interested in your process of creating the art for this. So let's say when you get a new manuscript, what's your process for coming up with the illustrations and the artwork for it? Do you go through and do everything at once? Do you focus on one scene at a time? What is that like for you?
Okay, well, first I received the manuscript, I read it. Then for Story Power, we have like a meeting with Stephanie, Simon, the lovely team, to talk and discuss about the manuscript and to decide the look and feel of the book. For this particular one, we finished with a lot of ideas, but I think we agree at the end that we wanted this book to be, or to feel like a rainbow, warm but full of color, full of energy, imagination. And since then, when we settle down all the ideas, I start like sketching the new characters. I try to share like every process to have like all the feedback and all the scenes, all the line art, all the coloring process, and then we finish with the book, and I really love it. And I don't know, I just want to mention about the last version that something that I really love about the series is that they invite you to have fun and creativity out of screens. And especially for Story Power, storytelling is something that families can do together, as we see during the book. And it's also something that you can share with others, not only at the end when you're telling the story. You can share it during the process of writing. And I really love that about this book.
Right. Oh, I love that.
I just wanted to mention it, just to don't miss the idea.
I have to tell one more Simon story because I don't know if Estefania knows this, because you mentioned the black and white sketches. And I love that we could see the black and white sketches first, because then we have an opportunity to say, well, wait, did you think about this, or what about that? So I thought the sketches were like fabulous. Simon found a mistake in them that I missed. And that was the order of the colors of the rainbow, because you had written it lightly in pen or pencil in the sketch. The sketch, you know, it looked like a rainbow, but he saw it. And isn't that great that he caught it, so that we weren't out there with a book with it in the wrong order, that we both missed.
I love that. And I love that he had that, you know, that he was so involved in the process. That's really cool.
You might have to be that age to really know the order of the colors of the rainbow.
They're the experts when it comes
search,
to
and even though I make that mistake, so.
Well, I wasn't trying to call you out for a mistake. I was just trying to say both of us, you know,
Right.
didn't see it, but he did.
I love that. Kids being the expert on things that are important to them. That's really cool. Well, why don't you tell us, are there going to be future books for the twins and Louise?
Well, I always hope so, because I love working with Estefanía. Although I am working on a middle grade, that same middle grade that has no pictures. But
And what about you?
I honestly hope that we can continue with Louise and the Twins' adventures. I'm really attached to them, and I would love to keep creating their world. I love it.
Well, I hope so too. Do either of you have other projects that you'd like to kind of give a shout out or mention to while we're here? Either not necessarily, I mean, either things you're doing together, or maybe if you have other works that you'd like to mention.
well, like I said, I have the middle grade, but I'm always ready to work with Estefanía anytime. So that's like I said, that's how I thought of Ghostwriter. I thought, oh, this would be a good one for us to do together.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, me too. I'm currently working in a different picture book with a different author. But yeah, I'm always willing to work with Stephanie. It's been amazing. So I hope we can continue with Luis and Roberto and Flor.
Oh, well, I hope
stories. Why not?
Yes. Well, thank you both for joining us today. And I should mention, I do have a previous interview that I got to do with Stephanie. I can't remember if that was earlier this year or last year, on a different book series. So people can go back and look that up. But it's so fun to get to talk to you both together. That was really special. And as I mentioned, if you haven't entered our giveaway yet, you have a little time left, but not very much. So go right now, enter it, look at our pinned post. There, you could get a copy of the book that we've been talking about, Story Power, plus a portrait illustration from Estefanía. So it's very special. Make sure you don't miss out. It only takes like a minute or two to enter. So be sure to do that. Thank you both for talking with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again, Stephanie. And thanks to everybody for watching. As always, this will be up on Instagram in just a few minutes and later on our YouTube channel. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.